Hi Flosstube, it's Kathy from To Die House. Did you know that 3 is a magic number? Oh yes it is. This is my 3rd video on August 3rd and I've passed 300 subscribers. So when I saw that kind of lining up, I was like, wow, 3 really is a magic number. For those of you who don't know 3 is a magic number, that is from Schoolhouse Rock. And Schoolhouse Rock was just a series of Saturday morning animated educational clips that I used to watch with my sisters when we were watching our cartoons on Saturday morning. And it included history and grammar, math, just as a way to help young people learn their ABCs, learn about conjunction junction. The reason it always sticks with me, and then more as an adult even, was when I lived in the Poconos. I lived near a town called Delaware Water Gap. And that town is very well known for jazz. They have a large jazz festival, and there are a lot of musicians who live near there or in Delaware Water Gaps. So Bob Dorough, who is the creator of Schoolhouse Rock, lived around Delaware Water Gap and was like the local celebrity. Actually, he's an international celebrity. I know so many people all over who watch Schoolhouse Rock. So anyway, there's a place in Delaware Water Gap, Pennsylvania called the Deer Head Inn. And if you were lucky enough to be in there on the right night, you might have found Bob Dorough in there tickling the ivories and singing a song. And he recently passed away. I had to say my heart, broke a little bit when he passed. I met him several times, just ran into him just by proxy of living in that area. And he was everything you ever would have thought somebody who created Schoolhouse Rock would be. He was funny and sweet and gregarious and had a smile the size of the sun. He was just a phenomenal, phenomenal man and talked to everyone. Yeah, he, just one of those people that, maybe you didn't know his name, but he was in your life. And so he created 3 as a magic number, and it is. So my 3s for this video are, I'm recording on August 3rd. It's my 3rd video. I have 300 subscribers, and we have 3 baby robins in our cherry tree, or we had them. They kind of have flown the nest. I'm an empty nester. Ah! But yeah, there were 3 in there, and I had been sort of just keeping an eye on them. Mom would come and go from the nest. There was 1 left a few days ago, and that little guy had no intention of leaving the nest. So I think Mom had to kind of like give him the old, it's time to go. And so when I heard a little like kerfluffle out in the tree, and I thought, well, maybe there's a squirrel in the tree or something. But when I went out later, or when I looked out the window, I saw Mom kind of fluttering around the tree. And then when I went out later, baby number 3 was gone. So we have empty nests now, but we did have 3. So my the first thing I want to talk about is the people in your neighborhood. These are the people in your neighborhood. Stitchy in Colorado is somebody who was new to me. Trisha and her son Jack, they're a really, really great team. And Trisha does knitting as well, but she's getting into stitching, and she's some really beautiful pieces. Her son Jack, I'm sorry Jack, I don't know how old you are. I thought 8 or 9, but Jack is also cross stitching, and he has this really cool red car that he's been working on. And yeah, I really enjoy watching them. I know a lot of people have shouted this next person out. Dee's Delights, Diana Zaslow. She lives in Florida now, but she is a Jersey girl. And we actually worked for the same company in New Jersey around the same time. So we sort of connected too outside of Flosstube, which was really, really nice. And I'm hoping maybe some point when she's here visiting family, we can connect and get together. But she has some really, really great pieces that she's already finished. And she's not a morning person, you know, she's just putting it out there. But she has the best coffee mug I think I've ever seen. It's a whale that has the water, you know, it's spouting out the water, and it says Morning Blows on it. I roared when I saw that coffee mug, and I'm kind of feeling like maybe I need to find one because it really is hysterical, and I'm not a morning person either. The next person that is new in my neighborhood is Cross Stitcher in Paradise, Christina. Christina lives in Hawaii. She's a former teacher and then went and got her law degree, and she works in the civil rights field, which I think is just so phenomenal. She's just happy, sweet. She's got a lot of really, really great pieces, and I think she has 2 videos out now, and I just really enjoy watching her videos. So go check out Christina. The next person who's new in my neighborhood is Broadway Stitcher, and her name is Carmen, and she lives in New York City. I think we might have been separated at birth, Carmen, because we love all the same things. I love theater. She loves theater. I mean, I say I love theater, but she loves theater. And she goes several times a week. I mean, it's really easily accessible to her, but yeah, she has some really great pieces, really great finishes. She did, I think it's the Satsuma Street, Pretty New York, or yeah, I think it's called Pretty New York. And then the frame that she put it in is like a Broadway marquee, and it lights up. Floored. I was floored. I was like, I have to have that in my life. It's really cool. And I'll link all of these people below. The next one is House of Stitch and Stash, Rika. She just moved to Oklahoma. She was closer to me here in Pennsylvania previously. I believe that her husband is in the military. So his next assignment was out in Oklahoma. So she went out to Oklahoma, and she really does a lot of mirabilia types of stitches. I think I just watched her most recent video, and she's doing the Little House Needleworks Farmhouse Christmas series as well. But she's just so pleasant and really nice to watch, and I always feel calmer after her videos, which is great. The next one is Marilyn's Boy, and gonna have I gotta stop having moments, right? But I have a lot of them. Aaron lives, I think, in St. Louis or in that area. I'm not sure. I may be wrong, but he has Parkinson's disease, and he's a stitcher. And if you want to walk away from watching a video feeling inspired and happy, and then having stitches in your side from laughing so hard, Aaron's the person to watch. He's really into superheroes. He loves comics, and he is just a remarkable human being on every front. I feel like his existence on this planet has given me faith and hope that, you know, everything will be okay. Okay, so first, he has Parkinson's, and he's, you know, he will tell you about his struggles, how it's difficult for him to stitch, or how he does stitch. but his sense of humor about it is, it's so uplifting. Like, he's, in one of his videos, he was talking about, I guess somebody in a grocery store or something was asking him what happened to him, and he totally made this like off the wall excuse about Olympic pole vaulters or something. And if I had been standing in line behind him, I would have been dead on the floor laughing. He is a riot. And he's such a good soul. Such a good soul. He has a really great segment that he just has done in his last couple of videos, his human to human segment. And, you know, he just puts so much love out into the world. Go watch him. You'll be a better person for it. And then the last one, not new to my neighborhood. They've been in my neighborhood a long time, but they didn't know it, is Country Stitchers, Deb and Liz. Deb's last video, she does a tour of her craft room. I was green with envy. 7 Deadly Sins, right? I was green with envy, Deb. Green. Her husband built her these cabinets and shelves and workstation. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I kind of feel like I could probably live in a corner and just keep an eye on her stash and her craft room for her. I could be sort of the craft room guard. Yeah, she's great. And she's a riot, and she's funny. And Liz does, they're a duo. They do their videos together. Liz does a gadget corner. I gotta tell you, Liz, the things that I've purchased now after watching your gadget corner, and I sort of feel like, how did I ever live without them? I'm so glad you're doing videos, because my stitching life is so much better now. So, like I said, I'll link everyone below. And all of those people who are in my neighborhood and in your neighborhood too. I just want to do some quick thanks to Pam and Steph who gave me a shout out on their last video. I thought it was just really sweet. I mean, you know, I'm a big fan. I'm a fan. So, you know, you have those moments of just, it's just crazy cool when Pam and Steph shout you out. Crazy cool. Excuse me. Jan Hicks Creates. I've been watching Jan a long time. She does knitting as well. She's a prolific cross stitcher, but she also knits. And I will show you probably a little video a little later on of something that I knitted last week. But let me tell you, I felt like when I was working on my knitting project, it was a baby blanket for a friend of mine who's having a baby. I felt like if I ran into any problems, I could just reach out to Jan and she would be there to walk me through it. And she's like my knitting security blanket. So, plus her stitching is really, really beautiful, and she's just one of the nicest people. Everybody's so nice. You all amaze me. Really amaze me. And then the next person is Audrey Stitch II 42. You know, I didn't know whether she was watching my videos or not, but in my last video, had done a junk in the trunk section, and I had a cauldron in there, and I watched Audrey all the time, but it didn't even occur to me that the cauldron would connect us. So I guess she watched it, she saw that cauldron, and I want to tell you, Audrey, I will be on the lookout for another cauldron for you. So do not be surprised if a cauldron shows up at your door randomly someday, because now I'm on the lookout for them. But also your comments about my channel were just so sweet and so nice, and I know we're thousands of miles apart, but I just felt like we're really connected, and It's a really, really good feeling. So I will also link them below. I wanted to do a little housekeeping. This is isn't an ongoing thing, but I did have a viewer of my prior videos say that she really couldn't hear me very well. So if you would let me know if there's an audio problem, when I play my videos back before I load them, they sound fine to me. But if they're not sounding fine to you, then that's a problem and I need to get it fixed. So let me know if you can hear me okay, and I will see what I can do to fix any audio problems. I think I made a couple of adjustments before recording this, so hopefully that solved whatever issue might be out there. But then I've had other viewers who are like, no, we can hear you fine. You know, friends of mine who watch my videos, and I've asked them and they say, no, we can hear you fine. So I want to know if there's an issue, and so I can make sure that it gets fixed. The other thing was I received a comment from Church Mouse Stitcher, and she had asked me about the story of my grandfather's immigration to the United States. I mentioned, I believe it was in my first video, that his journey here was quite harrowing. And because I'm getting ready to start the coming Little House Needleworks Coming to America piece, and I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of it. But my grandfather came to America from the Ukraine. Now, at the time that he came to America, the Ukraine was part of the Soviet bloc. They were not their own country like they are now. And he was in the military, and from what I remember my grandmother telling me, that was required of young men to join the military. So his family was starving. It was the living conditions were horrible. And he felt the need to get out. And being in the military, he didn't have really a whole lot of options. So one night, a friend of his was also defecting, and they were farmers, and they were moving hay. It was around the time of year they were moving hay or some sort of crop, and they put them in a wooden wagon, a horse-drawn wooden wagon. They were laying on the bottom of the wagon, and then they piled the hay on top of them. And they were taking it somewhere where they had to cross a border, but there was a military check there. They were checking for people defecting. And so what they would do is when people would bring these wagons of hay, the military would take pitchforks and stab the hay, trying to find if there was anybody, hiding in the hay. They obviously knew that was one of the methods used. And my grandfather and his friend were both stabbed with pitchforks while crossing the border and didn't make a sound. And once they got across the border, I guess the people that had helped them get out made sure that their wounds were dressed and found them a place of safe hiding, and then found them also a route to a boat to get here, because back then people didn't travel by air. I don't even know if airplanes existed back then. I'll have to do my history check on that. But yeah, so I remember as a child, I was terrified of my grandfather. I mean, he was Russian man. So I can remember on his arm the pitchfork marks that had gone through his arm. Excuse me. I remember that. Yeah. Excuse me. So anyway, yeah, so he escaped the Soviet bloc and defected and came to America, and here I am. So that's kind of the short version. I mean, my grandmother used to really embellish kind of, that story, I think, a little bit, but still, I mean, what people will do for freedom, You know, they will risk their own lives to be free. You think about that for a minute. It's just, it's human nature to want to be free. That's kind of... Okay, I'm going to pause you for a minute because I'm in the middle of a coughing spell and I need to get that under. Sorry about that. Hopefully I have really bad allergies, and I hear a lot of other people do too. And so it's been kind of crazy lately, but we've had a lot of rain here too, so I think everything is really like on super blue mode. Okay, I did want to give you an update. I remember in my last video I gave you a tip and a trick about the sponge in the little plastic case, and you know, I want to make sure that I re-emphasize to you how important it is to watch the water content of the sponge, because I was working on a piece and I got the sponge too wet and I ran my thread across it, and can you see how the dye came off on the sponge? Now, this is a Victorian motto thread, and I know that they are not color fast and they are hand dyed, so you know, it's to be expected that the dye would come off, but I didn't catch it in time, and then I went to my piece and I had a little bit bleed out onto my piece. So what I recommend doing is, I still really love this method, is if you see dye on the sponge, let it evaporate off of your thread a little bit before going to your piece. The other thing I did was I take my fingers and I run it down the thread to get rid of any excess moisture. So I just wanted to give you that kind of caution. If you're thinking about using this method, make sure to check the sponge to see if there's any dye on it. If there's dye on the sponge, there's going to be dye that's bleeding out into your fabric. It may be, one of the things I started to do is just keep a piece of scrap fabric around, so that, and I just run it across the ivory color scrap fabric, and if I can see it on the scrap fabric, I know it's not evaporated enough yet. And so yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that I you know, warned you about that again. And then the other thing was that last video I asked what you guys thought about the Lizzie Kate series, the Flip It series, and that frame with the six holes in it and doing the front and back versus trying to find another frame. And the overwhelming consensus was do 6 on one side, flip it over, do 6 on the back. I don't think I had anybody say, no, get another frame. So I'm going with that. That was the original plan, and I'm going to stick with it, and I want to thank everybody who gave me their feedback on that. The next thing I have is part of the junk in the trunk segment, but it's full disclosure, did not come out of my trunk, was in the garage, but it was junk-ish until it wasn't. But my boyfriend found this in the garage. It was, I think, in his old attic or something. It might have been his grandmother's or something. Oh wait, before I do that, I just wanted, this is another little groovy thing. That's groovy. This is something, it's a laptop desk, and it has kind of a beanbag bottom. And I prop this up on the arm of my chair, and I clip my light to the top, and I put my pattern here. But if you're sitting like on a couch or in an armchair and you know, you feel like you can't see your pattern well, this is really great. Because of the beanbag bottom, you can really kind of position it any way you want. And my boyfriend got this for me when we first moved here, and I was like, I can't get comfortable in my new stitching spot, and I can't see my chart because the arm of the new couch is further away than my old chair, and I was not thrilled. And he knows how important stitching is to me, and then that showed up one day. I just thought it was really, really sweet of him, you know, to make sure that I had a place that I could stitch comfortably. And let me tell you, it works like a charm. It works great. So this is the junk-ish, not in my trunk, but could have been in my trunk. And this is an old magazine rack, right? It's an oldie. And So this was in his attic, and it doesn't sit well on a floor, like a hard surface floor, but it sits great on the carpet, and then I just keep my project bags in it next to my stitchy spot. Isn't that cool? And when he got it out from the garage, when he was in there one day, he was like, you know, I said, well, what are you planning on doing with that? And he said, giving it to you, because I think you could put all your project bags in it. And I was like, that's genius. Genius. So yeah, I mean, I thought, I can't get comfortable here. So yeah, I was like, that's crazy cool. That is just crazy cool. Okay, so the next thing is, and I again, this isn't part of my normal segment. I want to try and keep these videos as stitchy related as possible, but I know many of us do other crafts, and I do as well. I do knit, and I do a little bit of sewing, a little bit of, you know, other types of paper craft things. I dabble in other things. Stitching is my first love. It always will be. But I think punch needle is coming in as a close second. I'll show you that in a bit. But I'll insert a video here of a baby blanket I made, and also a couple of little wooden letter finishes for my friend who's expecting really, really soon. And I met her for lunch, and I wanted to give her some handmade gifts for her little guy. So I'll insert that here. Hi everyone, it's Friday night, and I just wanted to do a quick video of something that I made that's not stitchy related, but I have a friend who is having a baby boy in a couple of weeks, and I'm meeting her tomorrow for lunch, so I wanted to make a quick gift for her, and I made her son's initials are going to be TV. Actually, I think the V should probably be that. No, maybe that way. Anyway, her nursery schematic is, or her nursery colors are navy blue and mint green, but I really couldn't find anything that sort of matched what she already has, and she also has sort of a woodlands creature theme going. So what I did was I found these little wooden letters in A.C. Moore. They were just raw wood, and I painted them navy, and then I found some scrapbook paper and sprayed it with the Aleene's spray adhesive, pressed the letter down, and then cut around it to get the initials. So the T, the front, actually, you can go either way, and then the V, and that's the other side. So I thought I'd share that with you. And then the other thing is that I finished, the baby blanket. And this is my very first finished blocked baby blanket, and I'm happy with how it came out. I mean, I know there are errors in it, and it's a little on the wonky side. Even though I blocked and stretched it, it didn't really stay perfectly square, but I think it's really cute, and it's like this chenille yarn, so it'll be nice and soft for baby. And so that is done. That's a Christmas gift for my sister. Don't tell her. And then I'm also, I'm all about the box, you know, and it's navy and green like her nursery. And even though it's not woodland creatures, I just thought it was really, really cute. I'm like one of those people that I love wrapping things, making them look pretty. So yeah, this cute little whale box. Isn't it adorable? And then the inside is just a regular, it's kind of like a light green stripe. Doesn't really show up well here, but yeah. So I just wanted to make sure I capture that before I wrapped it up and gave it to her. Okay, and then the other thing is I went to, I went out to Hershey, Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago. They had a quilt show, and my aunt, who is a quilter, asked me if I wanted to go with her. And I was like, well, yeah, I want to go. And I'll insert some pictures at the end of the quilt show to show you. There was one quilt there, though, that I had to tell you, I had never seen anything like it. It was, they stitched on the back side of the quilt, they quilted like a Union soldier. But then when you flipped it to the front side of the quilt, it was like a shadow of the same Union soldier in reverse on the front. And then they had this like raised lettering. It was an Abraham Lincoln quilt. Actually, I think I'll insert those pictures here. So isn't that cool? The Abraham Lincoln thing, and the lettering is raised, and then it's almost like embossed or something. It was really beautiful, really, really beautiful. And we had such a good time. And then we went to Chocolate World afterwards, and I just parked myself in the Reese's section and just like inhaled the peanut butter and the chocolate. It was great. But it had started to pour like right about the time that we got there, so the place was packed with kids. I said to my aunt, I don't think I've seen so many sticky fingers in one spot in my life. But yeah, because everybody was coming in from the park because the rain was driving them, you know, inside. So I just want to show you a couple things that I picked up though, because they had the quilt show, but they also had like a market there, and I picked up some things, mostly for finishing, but I did get some of this, it's flannel fabric. And I thought this would be great for like an autumn finish, or maybe like a nice winter finish. And this, oh, I love it. It's a black, can you really see? It's a black buffalo check. And I was like, oh, that you could use that for Halloween, or I don't know, for winter. I did pick up, these are all flannels, this little polka dotted flannel, that like teal and black. And then I picked up, so classic, white with black polka dots. Oh, so classic. And then I did pick up this hummingbird fabric, and it's so pretty. It's just really pretty. I think I had shown in my last video, I believe, the bloom design that I finished, and I think I might use this to maybe do some type of quilted hanging finish, or I'm not sure, but it had hummingbirds on it, so I had to have it. I did pick up this nice little Christmas finishing pack, and all the different, so pretty, really, really pretty. And I picked up some of these. These are, let's see, get these in order here. This kind of Christmassy plaid, and cute little old-fashioned ornaments that way. And then a candy cane stripe fabric. And then I love this mint and red candy cane stripe. And this kind of reminded me of Priscilla and Chelsea doing Mary string on the aqua fabric. And, you know, I don't know that I ever would have put aqua and red together, although I had seen it before. But this really inspired, or their aqua finish, their aqua fabric that they used for the Mary string inspired that purchase. And then I just got a few more random pieces. Just these cute little, look at that cute little summer flower, spring flower. This is Christmas trees. And then this just reminds me. I saw this and I was like, Little House on the Prairie, right? And look at this, so pretty, really pretty. And then this cute little one as well. And just I think they're like fat quarters. They're not really big pieces of fabric. This one I got a bigger piece of because I love it so much. And I love paisley. Paisley has got to be my favorite pattern, my favorite design pattern. I love it. So when I saw that, I was like, I want the bigger, because I know that I'll use that for project bags, and I'll probably use that in a lot of finishing as well. So I picked that up. And then I picked up also these little, they're bundles of fabric. They're squares. I think they're pre-cut for quilting. But it's the Christmas pattern, and I was like, well, they look to me to be like the perfect size for finishing ornaments or something. And there's nice variety in there, and so I'm like, well, look at the buffalo check again, Priscilla and Chelsea. So yeah, so I picked that up as well because I was like, well, that's a quick way to finish. And then the other thing I picked up, I was kind of surprised they had this there, and they had a lot of it, was punch needle. I did pick up some, you know, like little charcoal mitten ornaments. And look at this guy, the cardinal and the planter. And I love this too, the Santa Moon. It's a really cute snowman. And this adorable little sheep. And then I got some, the bird in the apple tree. And then this little cutie as well. Yeah, so those are all punch needle. They had a ton of it. And there was a guy there who had a punch needle like and a hoop and the weaver's cloth. And he, you know, genius, put it in my hands and was like, give it a try. The rest is history. So, so yeah. So I needed also, oh, this is another piece of felt. This is a Mary Engelbreit fabric. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, so I picked up a bunch of wool to finish those pieces. This is really pretty. It's got like a plaid in it. I love this. I think I want that in a blanket size because it's so pretty. And then look at this one. This is like almost like over-dyed fabric. And it's really gorgeous. Really so pretty. And then I just got a plain red. So I picked up some wool because everybody there who had punch needle models had it mounted on wool. So it looked to me like it was kind of the way to go. So yeah. So that's that. Oh, and the other thing I picked up, I don't know why I got this. I think, I forget what kind of hoop this is called. Duchess hoop. But there was a guy there selling them. I don't think it's an antique. Obviously, it's not vintage antique. But I thought, I really didn't pick it up to use it for stitching. I picked it up to use it for finishing. So, but maybe I will try stitching in it. Although I stitch in hand, so I don't know that I would be particularly comfortable with that. So that was the quilt show. That was a lot of fun too. And I don't get to spend a lot of time with my aunt, so it was really nice that we could, you know, spend the day together and eat tons of chocolate as well. Okay, so next is, oh, I told you last video that I was entering the Farmer's Fair, and I did. And I got 2 blue ribbons and a trophy. I was shocked. I still am. And just over the moon about it. It's a small fair, you know, I mean, small pond. Big fish, small pond, right? But you know, when I took them over, I dropped them off, and then like a week later the fair opened, and then my boyfriend and I, kind of like a Saturday night date, went over. And of course, the minute we walk through, I want to make a beeline toward the display to see how I did. But he goes like the opposite direction. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to like I said, well, can we go? And he's like, well, you know, we'll get there. And I was like, oh my God. So, so yeah, we went and saw the animal displays, and I'll put some pictures in here. The alpaca and the people who had sheep's wool, and they were kind of like sorting through it and packing it up. So they had alpacas and llamas and bunnies and chickens, and you know, it's a farmer's fair, cows, and it was great. You know, it's a small town fair, or small area fair, but we had such a great time. And then when we got to the Home and Garden building, which is where the exhibit for the handwork was, it was funny because in the middle were like the vegetables, and then on the perimeter was the handwork, and I was like, the vegetables are in with the handwork? The handwork's in with the vegetables? No matter. It was great. It was great. And then when I came around the corner and I saw my piece had a blue ribbon, I was like, oh my God, I got a blue ribbon, I got a blue ribbon. And he was, my boyfriend, if you knew him, not a blip, Mr. Lakeman. And he's like, yeah, that's good. And then he was like, but you also got a trophy. And I was like, oh my God, I got a trophy. I think he was getting a charge out of how charged up I was. It was fun. I have to go and pick my pieces up this weekend, and I'll definitely enter again next year. It was a blast. And let me tell you, there's some really talented people out there doing all sorts of wonderful things. The best in show for the Home and Garden was actually, came from the photography area. And there are some amazing people out there doing just really, really wonderful and inspiring things. And there are a lot of eyes that see the beauty in this world. So it was a blast. And the other thing really quick was before we left the fair, I was like, maybe we need to go say goodbye to my pieces. And he was like, why? You're picking them up next week. But I was just like, and he's like, I think you just want to stand there and admire. And he was like, you'll admire them when you get them home. So yeah. So that was really a great deal of fun. I have a little bit of haul this week, not a whole heck of a lot. One of the things that I had ordered this a while ago was the We the People fabric. And this came from the Primitive Hair, Isabel. Smells like Italy. So I did get the Lady of the Flag with the 25th anniversary release, and plan to do it on that piece of fabric. Oh, this little heart and hand. Isn't he really cute? I think he'll be really fast. He might be a really cute ornament. And now I'm going into fall and holiday mode, like fast. I'm falling down that rabbit hole. And I'm not objecting to falling down the rabbit hole. But I really liked this guy too, and his scarf I thought was really, really cute. And then this Mr. Bird. I love the cardinal on his carrot nose. I just thought that was very sweet. The other thing I picked up, and I have the others in this series, but I got this from, where did I get this from? I got this, I went to Needleworker's Delight a couple of weeks ago, and I picked this up. Look at the mask on the bird. I just thought, what a riot, right? And the latest in the Farmhouse Christmas, the cock-a-doodle-doo. So cute. And then this designer is new to me, and I think they've been around for a while, but they do another medium of work. when I was talking to, I think it was Kevin at Needleworkers Delight, he said, yeah, you know, I guess they reached out to the designer and said, do you have cross stitch as well? And she said yes, and then they brought that work in, you know, those designs in. So Merry Christmas. And the designer is All Through the Night. That is the name of the design, Merry Christmas. I love this one, and I actually bought the flosses too to do it. Halloween is in the air, and look at that moon. I adore that moon. And it says, Halloween is in the air, the moon is full, beware, beware. So, yeah, I really like that. And then this is blackbirds. And so that's all that I got. I think that's all I got. Maybe not. I did pick this up. This was a stash unload find. It is Nantucket Summer Sampler by the Bay. Deb from Country Stitchers has got me addicted to By the Bay. And then, oh, here are a couple of other things I picked up. Let me just, I wanted to show you, where is it? This is not something I bought recently, but I remember in my last video I was telling you about the Biscornu that's like the size of a cake. And I at the time said something like, I think it's Jeanette Douglas, but it's not. It's Rosewood Manor. And it's the Lighthouse Island. And it has the little pocket with the scissors in it. So it is a Rosewood Manor design. And I wanted to make sure that I did that correction for you. And speaking of Rosewood Manor, I did pick up, I had winter Quakers, but I did want to get autumn Quaker. And I've seen a lot of people working on these now, and they are quite beautiful. The summer Quaker I picked up, and that's also Rosewood Manor. And this is Rosewood Manor Spring Quaker, and this one, I wish you could have seen the model. It's gorgeous, but all those beautiful summer motifs. You know, it says things like crocus and iris, and so pretty. Greystone Manor. This is also Rosewood Manor. It says, for lo, winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing birds is come. And I just thought it was really beautiful. Really love the urn in the middle. This one I'm starting this weekend, actually. I have it all kitted up and ready to go. My Big Toe. Let there be caffeine on earth and let it begin with me. I'm such a coffee fanatic. And then there's a little supplement. You can change it out to let there be wine. I prefer coffee. Because I have hanging in my kitchen, I don't know, or actually it's my dining area. Let's see if I can get you over here to see it. I have the Heartstring Sampler Coffee Quaker hanging up in here. And I thought this would really be a nice piece to hang with it. So, yeah. So, oh, and then I did get this online, this Long Dog sampler. I saw somebody stitching this. I need to stop watching people. I need to cut myself off from the world for a while. Scarlet Ribbons. But it's really beautiful. Really beautiful. And I feel like this might be something I'll start for winter. Because winter is coming. Then the other thing, I'm putting it in the haul section, but it's really a tip and a trick. And it's something that I just discovered. And I was thinking of, and I just realized I've been going through this whole video with this thing on my head. So this is when we went to the fair. After I got my blue ribbons, I had to get a princess halo. And my boyfriend bought this for me. So I've been wearing my princess halo while doing the video. And I'm waiting for one of the cats to be like, oh, ribbons. And then you see this cat like flying out of the into the picture and like clawing it off my head. And so, so yeah. But yeah, he bought me this little, it's just curled ribbon and it's on like a wire star thing. But, you know, if you win a blue ribbon, you deserve a princess halo. Who have I become? I am not a princessy kind of girl. I'm like the tough girl, not the tough girl, but you know, the tomboy. Not a princess girl. Who am I? Okay, back to my original thought. I was looking for a way to record for my projects what I had, the name of the project, when I started it, when I finished it, what fabric I used, what flosses did I use, and I couldn't figure out, I didn't want to really stick a label on the back of things, and then I thought, well, you know, but I do want my pieces signed on the back for the ones that I have framed, so I'm going to go back and sign them and do the date that I did the signature, because I don't remember when I finished them all. But for current projects that I have going and for all future projects, I found these. I was looking for index cards on Amazon. And I found library cards. And at the top, it says author and title, so I can do designer, the chart name, the date that I start, and then down the side, I can put the, you know, the floss, DMC, Classic Color Works, Weeks, whatever, the color here. And it's got plenty of room, even for larger projects. It's got, you know, the space on the back. So I can put all, you know, my project information on these. And then they come with these little envelopes because they're meant to go in books, right? The old-fashioned checkout way before barcodes. So it has little envelopes. And then it has the adhesive on the back. So I can peel this off and stick it to the back side of the frame. Or for pieces that I don't have framed, I can keep a little like recipe box or a card catalog of everything that I've done. And I just thought that was really groovy. And it's a really, really great solution. So, yeah, so I bought... They come in packs of 150, I think. So I have 150 projects to do, at least. But if you're interested, go out on Amazon. I think, you know, I can't remember how much I paid for them, but yeah, so you get a stack and then you get the envelopes, the self-adhesive envelopes to go with them. So I think I'm going to start using that just so I can keep track of what I used, and then if anybody ever asks, especially if you're doing color conversions and people want to know, you can just take a picture of the card and send it to them. I thought it was a brilliant idea. Okay. That's that. And then my whips, actually I did some, I spent an entire week knitting, knitting the blanket. So I lost some stitching time there, but the mother-to-be was thrilled, so time well spent. I did get some progress done on my summer ABCs by Little House Needleworks, and So I did, you know, I did get some. Piece of paper. There we go. In one of those days. There we go. So I did get the apples in, and I'm starting now down on the motif. So I got that done, or that, yeah, that's where I am on that. I love those summery, you know, the ABCs out of Little House Needleworks. They're really, they're so fun to stitch, and they're really, it's nice to have seasonal things. And then one thing I did, it's kind of a pseudo finish. Here we go with the coffee throat again. Is the Old Red Barn by Little House. Now I'm, you know, I don't know if I'm just getting kind of tuckered out with this one or what, but I finished what I'm going to stitch on it. Here we go. So I finished what I'm going to stitch, the birds, the barn. I think I need to take out the white part here and put something a little brighter so it shows up. I did do the word red in Old Red Barn in a red floss. And I'm going to add, let's see if I can get this, hold this up, some pumpkin buttons to it. So I have this like little pumpkin button to sew on. And then I ordered from Just Another Button Company a little sheep button. So I'm going to put a sheep in the barn. So I really just have to sew the buttons on and then find a way to finish it, and then I'll be done with that. But I was going to use my little orange Just Another Button Company buttons, but when I was laying them out, they looked like they crowded it a little bit. So I just kind of wanted to go with the more polymer clay buttons, and these are the 2 pumpkin buttons that I have so far. Picked out. I love that little green button. Look how it's got multi-dimensions. So ready for fall. So ready. And then the other piece that I made some progress on is the Bluebird's Nest. And I just started this week. The Heart and Hand, like I said, I already have the Heartware bowl. And it's this way. So I got that done as well. So, I didn't get a lot of progress, but I was happy to start it, and hoping to get that finished this weekend. It's a pretty quick stitch. It's just that I didn't have a lot of stitching time this week. And then something I kitted up. It's super ginormous bag I made. I love the fabric. The fabric is really, really beautiful. And then I used the hidden zippers that you can buy. So it's, you know, nothing fancy schmancy. The fabric is more fancy than anything. But I did kit up and plan to start this weekend the Halloween Quakers by Lila's Studio. And then I had previously purchased Newcastle linen in, this is Silk Weavers. It's, the name of the fabric is called Illusion. Now I know a lot of people are doing this on Murky, and if you can see, it's not as, the color contrast is not as stark as Murky is. It's a little more subtle, and I liked that. So, and then with the called for threads on that. Let's see if you can see. Okay. So yeah. Oh, This little groovy thing. Diana at It Is Kismet Stitches. Pretty sure it was Diana. Turned me on to these. These are little wire key rings. And they are perfect for kitting things up. They're not really big, but they hold everything. When she posted that, or when she put that in her video, I was blown away. So I did go out to Amazon and order them. This is what they look like when they come. Get a couple of. So they're just little, like, boat-shaped wires with a threaded end. Actually, that's not the threaded end. That's the threaded end. And then a little clasp, and you just hook it up. And the nice thing, and then you have a ring. I was using the metal rings that snap together, but I found that they would come apart, and you know, then your bags all slide off and you're back to having to alphabet. I was getting kind of exhausted from having to do that. So, and the other nice thing is that you can, if you need a bigger ring, then you just link them together. You can make these as big as you want. So what I did was I started taking everything off of my metal rings, and I'm going to put them on these now. What are you doing, my boy? He's getting ready to get into something. So yeah, so I thought that was really, really neat. So other than that, for my whips, that's about it. And then just a couple of really quick prior finishes. This was a shepherd's bush piece that I finished years ago. But I have it hanging up in my craft room, and it's really so cute. So cute. And because I'm totally in fall mode, even though everybody else is like, stop it, it's still summer. I'm like, nah, I'm on my way to fall. The 3 in a row. I don't recall who the designer is on this. I'll have to go and look it up. But really love that. And I love that little barnwood frame. And then this was the Autumn ABCs from Little House. And isn't it cute? Oh. And I love that little scarecrow. And this molding, this kind of barnwood distress molding, it's my go-to molding. I use it whenever I can. I love it. I love it. So yeah. Autumn! Autumn's coming. A couple of other just side notes. I was watching Arlene Cohen's last video, and she was talking about retreats and the memories that you make there and the people that you meet and how they're to be treasured. And I just want to say, Arlene, I couldn't agree with you more. I know you and McKenna worked together on the New Jersey retreat, and you both did such a superb job. And for me, having not been to a retreat in a few years, I was really nervous going into it. I was very fortunate. I landed at a table of people. The universe has a way of putting people in your path that, you know, they become your tribe. Mo and Kelly and Lynn and who am I forgetting? Stacy. Stacy. Let me tell you, that quiet, but then when she speaks, we all kind of perked up and paid attention because she's just these one-liners that she was amazing. I became really good friends with almost immediately with Lynn, just a phenomenal person, and snarky like me. And Kelly, I was sitting next to Kelly, and she was between me and Lynn, and I felt like she was refereeing the whole time. And then Mo, who was kind of like, she's like the quiet leader. You know, she would sit there and observe and then just kind of like put something out there, and we would all just roar laughing. And then one of the best memories, and there's a bad word in here, so if you have kids that you don't want to see this, just give them like a minute away. Lynn and I were talking about things that we don't enjoy. I don't know how it came up, but we were talking about we don't enjoy that. And then she holds up this keychain and says to me, "What does this say?" And I said, "I love gross shit." And when it came out of my mouth, I had one of those laughs where I was like doubled over and I couldn't breathe and I couldn't get the words out of my mouth because I was laughing so hard, because I really thought her keychain said, "I love gross shit." And it said, "I love cross stitch." And I just, that is like, even now, I was having a bad day, and then Mo posted in our little private group that we have, just because we all shared the same table, and so we kind of have some of the same memories. We all try to stay in touch too. We became really good friends very quickly. But she was like, she was like, "That still makes me laugh." And I was having a terrible day, and my day turned around like that. It was like just having those people reach out and say, "Remember when that made us laugh so hard?" It brought me out of my little, it was like a Monday, and it was gray and dull and raining, and it was just, you know, I was having a day, and it just lifted me up. So I just want to say, if you ever have a chance to go to a retreat, I know it can be a scary thing, walking into a room of people you don't know by yourself. You know, maybe try to make some connections online ahead of time. And if not, there is always going to be somebody that's like, "Hi, come and sit by me." And if you're ever at a retreat and you don't have anybody to sit by, you can come and sit by me. You're always welcome. Okay, so on that note, going back to 3 is a magic number, closing this up, because I passed 300 subscribers. Now, I was going to do this at 100 subscribers, but because you're a bunch of overachievers, you just zip by that. And then I was like, okay, well, then I'll do it at 2. Well, then you zipped by that. So now I'm at 3. And by the time you see this, you'll have zipped by that too. But I'm going to do a giveaway. So all I need you to do, well, first of all, here are the rules. Have to be a subscriber, 18 or older, or parents' permission. It's open to anyone. I'm not limiting it to US. And it will close on midnight, August 16th. So I'm leaving it open a good almost 2 weeks. So yeah, so those are the rules. And the question I want you to answer below is, what is your magic number? So, and then tell me which of these, or all 3, you would like to be entered for. Just a quick side note on that as well. When I went to Needleworkers Delight, and I said, well, I don't know whether I should do one big one or 3 smaller ones. And the lady there said, well, do you want to make 1 person happy or 3 people happy? And I thought that was such a great way to think about it. So I said, well, of course I would like to make 3 people happy. So the first one is Boxwood Crossings. It's Halloween. And that's probably not really easy to read, so let me read that to you. It says, lock your doors and turn out the lights, or ghosts and goblins will spook you tonight. Jump in your bed, pull the covers up tight, close your eyes until the morning is light. So that is Foxwood. It's Halloween. These, it's the chart, and I'm giving you one of those groovy little rings. But I also will be sending you the floss for each. Okay, I was going to do fabric, but people are very particular about the fabric that they like to stitch on. So I thought, well, if I give you the chart and the floss, then you can choose the fabric that you like best. So that's Foxwood. It's Halloween. The second is the one that I picked up for myself as well. Halloween is in the Air by All Through the Night. And that comes with the flosses as well. And a groovy little keychain ring. And then the third is one of my favorite charts ever. Because I just love the sentiment of it. And it's Lizzie Kate, Be Bold and Brave. Be Bold and Brave. And there's the flosses with that as well. So, and I love whatever is good for your soul, do that. That is just one of my favorites. So, so yeah, each one will be a chart and the called for flosses. And so you just need to say what your magic number is and which one of the charts you'd like to be entered for. And if you'd like to be entered for all three, then you could say all three. Please enter me for all three. Actually, don't say enter. Say I'd like to stitch all three. So I'd like to stitch Be Bold and Brave. I'd like to stitch Halloween is in the Air. Or I'd like to stitch It's Halloween. Or I'd like to stitch all three. And include your magic number. I'd like to know what your magic number is. So that's it for today. Another long one. I try to keep these short, but I think because I wait 2 weeks in between that I'm going to be running about an hour. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for all of your kind words. I'm really tickled. Really tickled. And I'll see you in a couple weeks. Peace.